Welcome in to another edition of the JMU Sports News Podcast. I am Bennett Conlon. I'm joined by Jack Fitzpatrick. We're coming off a bye. We're feeling calm. We don't have to talk about the two-quarterback system as much this week.
I'm so ready to dive into the two-quarterback system. Okay. Look, we didn't do listener questions last week, Bennett.
That's right. We forgot.
We did forget. And then I meant to do a YouTube video just to answering them, and then life got a little crazy.
Life gets in the way, man.
Yeah, life gets in the way. So it didn't end up doing that. So we'll go back to some of those questions. We had one from Andy Lohman, a fantastic question that we will have to answer in this one. So we'll still talk some two-quarterback system. Don't you worry.
Thank God. But it's Liberty Week. We've been waiting for this for years.
For millennia, some say. I do love some JMU fans. I saw one JMU fan tweet we're not their little brother, they're our little brother. And it's like, I think we're the same age, brother. I think we're twins. Everything off the field notwithstanding, right? Like everything that Liberty on the football field, I think we're both feel like teams that's like, well, we're really good. You need to respect us. You need to respect us. And now we're fighting against each other. And it's like, I'm the big brother. No, I was born 4 seconds before you. I'm the big brother. And it's like, we are the same. We are the same on the football field. Everything off the field notwithstanding.
There is a lot of we demand respect. And this is one that I think coming in, we were like, this could be a college football playoff elimination game. What a fun G5 matchup. Liberty's out. JMU's on the fringe of being out. This is not what it was built to be.
Yeah, there was this could be college game day.
Yeah,
this could be epic. And it's Liberty may stink. They can't stop a nosebleed. And JMU lost to Louisville, and USF has jumped out to a fantastic start with two of their three games this season being wins against ranked opponents.
Tulane's got a couple of Power 4 wins. Everyone's, it's a little bit different than what we expected, especially with ODU beating up on Virginia Tech. Changes the whole statewide landscape, even in the G5. It's that one's just clearly a bigger game. It's not even really a competition at this point.
Yeah, that one, not saying it will be game day because fans love, this could be a college. If there was a college game day game on the schedule, it'd be that one. I'm also now very worried for the ODU game.
ODU's nice, man. Colton Joseph is he's something.
I've been saying it, man. I've been early. Never late, just early. Never wrong, just early.
And, similar to the Louisville logic, right? A lot of one-position losses for ODU. You could essentially say that was a 10-win team for the last couple of years.
Some are saying. Virginia Tech's been saying the same thing. And that
success rate-wise, yeah. What has ODU done on the success rate graph?
Success. Just so everyone knows, I don't think we've had a podcast since then. Success rate just measures on a down-to-down basis how effective you are at moving a football. It does not. It weights the same, kind of like how averages can be swayed by outliers. Success rate can be swayed quite easily because a 75-yard touchdown play on first down is the same as a 5-yard gain on first down. So there are issues. So saying it's hard numbers that JMU should have won is just wrong and a deep misunderstanding of what success rate is and advanced analytics are.
I think it was Rigger was talking to Colin Hitchler in that Scrum Tuesday, I guess, this week. And he had asked him, he's like, you guys, outside of those two huge touchdown plays, were pretty incredible. And the smile on Hitchler's face was kind of told the whole story. It's you can't really erase the two plays. I know what he was going for with the question. It was you guys played a pretty incredible 60 minutes. It was just funny to have Hitchler be well, if we could erase the two biggest plays of the game, that'd be sick.
Honestly,
that's how it works.
I get where Riggert's coming from because if the offense could just have figured out how to move a football,
sure,
those two big plays,
defense,
the defense played well enough to win a football game because you gave them 14 points on big plays, and then the offense
gave up 7. Yeah,
so. I see what you're saying. All right, let's get a quick break in here, step aside. Then we'll be back with a little preview of Liberty and our interview with Jon Manson from A Sea of Red, a Liberty football podcast. So stay with us. For more than 20 years, SignPro has been proudly serving the Valley, helping local businesses stand out and get noticed. Whether it's vehicle wraps that turn heads on the road, dimensional signs that elevate your storefront, or long-lasting banners with yard signs, we bring quality and experience to every project. With a reputation built on craftsmanship and trust, we're here to make your message impossible to miss. Visit mysignpros.net and let's showcase your business with confidence. That's mysignpros.net. Welcome back in, JMU Sports News Podcast. Bennett, what should we expect out of the good old-fashioned Liberty Flames?
So, looking through the Flames, the like too long didn't read is they're not good at stopping the run. They have been penalized a lot. They felt like they maybe had a toxic locker room last year that has potentially bled over a little bit into this year. So this is a huge game for Liberty to kind of get back on track. But they've lost 2 games to G5 teams. They were tied 7-7 with Maine going into the fourth quarter of the season opener. It has not been what fans expected, what the team expected, what coaches expected. They've fallen short of expectations. And I think a lot of it is they've struggled in the trenches where they expected to be a bit better. So they're struggling to stop the run. They're not protecting Ethan Vasco that well. Ethan Vasco is maybe not as good as some of the previous quarterbacks they've had at sort of doing his own thing, creating his own play. So if the stuff around him breaks down, it can get a little bit dicey. They've had major turnover flaws. They've 6-0 in the turnover battle in the 2 games against FBS competition. They're not great at field goal kicking. But other than that, man,
what are they good at? You just described the entire team.
I think their pass defense is actually very good. Like their corners are pretty athletic. Their secondary looks really good. They've barely given up anything in the passing game. And some of that, though, is Jacksonville State only attempted 12 passes because they ran for like 400 yards. But pass defense is good.
That always leads to the question of like, is pass defense good or is rush defense so bad that they just don't pass the ball?
I think it's a little of both, but I think the pass defense is mostly pretty good. They did a really good job. I guess if you want to pick something where Liberty's good at is like outside of the turnovers, which again, you can't actually take the turnovers out.
Outside of Louisville's 2 touchdowns, JMU won the game.
But outside of those, they've outgained all 3 of their opponents. So there is some hope there if you're a Liberty fan that maybe not that they're going to beat JMU and ODU in the coming weeks, but more so that they could put themselves back in the Conference USA race because the loss to Jacksonville State, they had over 500 yards of offense. They were like missing short field goals and had turnover issues. And then the loss to Bowling Green, more turnover issues, but their defense played pretty well. They were a little better against the run. They moved the ball effectively. So they have moved the ball, and I think they're going to win a bunch of Conference USA games once they don't have to play Jacksonville State anymore, which is probably the second best team in the league. So I do think they'll be fine in conference play, but there are some questions about Chadwell and sort of the way the program is going because they have underwhelmed and they've been surprisingly sloppy for a team led by a coach that's been really successful at the G5 for a number of years now.
Yeah, and then we're going to catch up with Jon Manson from A Sea of Red. He'll break down the Liberty fan perspective of it all right here on JMU Sports News Podcast. Big win, huge play. Don't just remember it, wear the moment. Breaking Team makes shirts that capture the game's biggest highlights right as they happen. Gear up today using the link in the description. College football's back, and it's time to upgrade your game day gear. Right now, claim 15% off at Home Field. The best retro and vintage apparel in the game. Rep JMU in style. Don't wait. Check the link in description to get your 15% off. Every Monday, go to the house with former JMU quarterback Vad Lee and Hall of Famer Delvin Joyce. It's the weekly JMU football podcast with insider insight you won't find anywhere else from 2 guys who've worn the jersey. Listen now. Subscribe to the JMU Sports News Podcast Network to never miss an episode of To the House every Monday.
We now welcome on Jon Manson, a founder of A Sea of Red. He knows Liberty as well as anyone, so we're excited to talk to him about the Flames. Jon, thanks for taking the time.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Excited to talk about this game. I would call it an exciting matchup. I'm not sure after these last 2 games for the Flames we call it that, but looking forward to discussing it.
Yeah, I wanted to ask about Liberty's start 1-2 I was curious how fans have reacted to it. It seems like turnovers have maybe been an issue. I know they've outgained their opponent in the first three games. What do you make of kind of that strange start for the Flames?
Yeah, it's hard to really put a cap on exactly what's happened these first three games, and even it kind of dates back to last season too. Liberty started, obviously back in 2023, Liberty went 13-1, made it to the Fiesta Bowl, won the Conference USA. That was under first year head coach Jamie Chadwell, who I'm sure most of JMU fans are very familiar with from his time at Coastal. Liberty fans are as well too from his time there, and then also at Charleston Southern when both of those teams, Liberty and CSU, were in the Big South. So he's had a lot of success and won everywhere he's been. And then last year, returning a lot of the same players and especially, the star names like a Caden Salter and Quentin Cooley. The team started off 5-0. There was a lot of crazy, wild comebacks and finishes in some of those wins early on, but then the team finished, 8-4, kind of spiraled down the end, finished fourth in Conference USA, and there was a lot of talk of it being internal type of issues, cancer type problems in the locker room, and Coach Chadwell's really leaned into in the offseason, at least this is what he talked about, leaning into the culture of the team and making sure that it's a we before me attitude that I think a lot of Liberty fans and followers kind of expected was a problem for much of last season. Um, so to see these same type of issues resurface here, really throughout all three games, but specifically these last two at Jack State and Bowling Green is really kind of surprising and alarming. And I'm sure if you go on social media and read comments from Liberty fans, you'll see anything from Chadwell needs to be fired tomorrow to, let's give them some time. Let's see, they still have a chance at a Conference USA championship. The answer is probably somewhere in between. It's like I said, it's only week 3, so we'll have to wait and see how the season unfolds. But it's a lot of concern on Liberty's side, and just kind of left scratching our head trying to figure out, where to go from here.
Yeah, I was curious too. I know JMU fans obviously know Chadwell well, and especially his offenses, which have been pretty incredible kind of everywhere he's been. It seems like the Flames have put up a good chunk of yards, even in those last two losses. I think they went over 500 against Jacksonville State. What is it about, I guess, the offense that hasn't led to maybe as many points? Is it simply the turnovers? Are they stalling in the red zone? I guess what's going on there?
Yeah, it's a lot of things. I think the offensive line has been underwhelming, allowed a lot of pressure on the quarterback Ethan Vasco, and not always, or at least consistently, opening up lanes for the running backs to get through. And you have to remember Liberty led the nation in rushing 2 years ago, and then was a top 5 rushing team last year. Obviously, Caden Salter, the quarterback, was a lot of that. Quentin Cooley, the running back, went over 1,000 yards each of the last 2 years, and obviously they're both of them are gone. So it's a lot of new names and new faces, but I feel like the skill positions have fared well. It's mainly been an offensive line issue. There's been some injuries there, some inconsistent play. Haven't have had 3 different starting lineups up front in all 3 games. Liberty's been hurt through the transfer portal at the offensive line both of the last 2 years. They were able to overcome that a lot last year. But you got a lot. I mean, you got a lot of running backs that are in their first time getting significant playing time. Obviously, Vasco played a lot at Coastal Carolina, so he's experienced. So I think that's been one of the biggest issues of the offensive line play. Then, also, penalties. I mean, Liberty's had 3 touchdowns taken off the board the last 2 weeks due to penalties, holding calls, and all of them. There's also been um, uh, turnovers. I mean, 6 turnovers in the last 2 games. I mean, it's hard to overcome 1 or 2 turnovers if you're losing the turnover battle by 1 or 2, but to try to overcome 6 in 2 weeks. Meanwhile, the defense hasn't gotten any turnovers, hasn't forced any. So that's a huge hole to climb out of, and it's also set up the defense in bad situations where short fields and quick turnovers, sudden change that people talk about. So, I would say the offensive line play, turnovers, and then, inopportune penalties at inopportune times have been the biggest errors for the Liberty offense. And this offense is it's not they have the capability to hit the big plays. I mean, you've seen some 50-yard touchdown runs and 70-yard passing touchdowns, but for the most part, it's more 3 yards at a time, 5 yards at a time. The long drives where one holding penalty that puts you in 1st and 20 is very hard to overcome. And you're also, when you're having 15 play drives, you're leaving the door open for a greater chance of a turnover or a mistake. So those are some of the things that we've seen so far through the first 3 games. And even though it was a win in the season opener against Maine, and that's a game that was tied at 7 going into the fourth quarter. And myself and I think a lot of Liberty's supporters kind of overlooked some of the cause for concern in that game because the team, there's a lot of new faces on the offensive side of the ball. But they put it all together in the fourth quarter and scored 3 touchdowns. But now looking back with 2 more games of data, you can see that there was cause for concern from week 1 that has continued into the last 2 games.
Interesting. Yeah, I was curious from your perspective following the program closely. Does it feel like something? Because I guess they haven't actually played an FBS home game yet, right? It was just the main game at home. Do you think getting home kind of helps fix those things? Is this something that fans or players still feel like, hey, this can, turn around and maybe the last 2 weeks were blips on the radar, or does it feel like a bigger issue?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's hard to answer that question. I think, if you listen to Coach Chow in his press conference post game at Bowling Green, he says that it will be fixed. This will be fixed. But like I was saying earlier, is like it's not just the cause for these last 3 games. I think it would be one thing if Liberty, won 9 or 10 or 11 games last year, made it to the conference championship game, and then Caden Salter transferred, and so you're going through some growing pains with a new quarterback and new running backs. But Liberty's 4-6 in their last 10 games, and we all know, about the strength of schedule is not great. So with Liberty's resources and their low, poor strength of schedule, a 4-6 stretch in 10 games is not good enough. And like I was saying, is like, yes, there's cause for concern in these 3 games, but it's kind of a carryover from last year. So yes, there's new players in these positions that are making some of these penalties and turnovers and different things that we've seen, but it seems to be a larger issue that's stemming. And like I said, Coach Chapel has had a lot of success. He's been successful basically everywhere he's been, including at Liberty. So you would think he could figure it out, but it's still one of those things like, when are things going to get righted? And I'd also say with JMU coming up this week and then ODU the following week, Liberty could clean things up and still lose these next 2 games. So it's a long season, so we'll just have to keep following and seeing what happens.
Gotcha. What do you make of this matchup with JMU? I know JMU fans are excited about how the defense looked against Louisville, but they also have the quarterback rotation with 2 quarterbacks that did not go well against the Cardinals. It's one where, of course, if you're not going to score a bunch of points, any game you're in is going to be competitive. So I was curious how Liberty fans and yourself kind of view this matchup for the Flames and maybe areas where the Flames can take advantage of some of JMU's weaknesses.
Most of the comments I've seen online since Saturday night have been, wow, Liberty's going to get embarrassed on Saturday against JMU. And I don't know. I definitely think Liberty being an 11, 12-point underdog, which seems to be where the line's at, is probably fair. Liberty has to play a clean game if they want a chance to win this game. And you can't lose the turnover margin by two plus. You can't lose a turnover margin, period. You have to win the turnover margin if you're going to have a chance to win this game. Liberty's also, hurt themselves early in games and fallen behind early. Personally, I like to see what Liberty looks like as a team playing from in front, playing with the lead. That's something we haven't seen this season. And we didn't see a lot of last year either, but it is a new team this year. So I'd like to see what that looks like. But the JMU defense definitely is cause for concern for this Liberty offense. I mean, the Dukes have been able to slow down the run game. They've been able to get pressure on quarterbacks, and even, held Louisville down most of that game too. So it's, if Liberty continues to have the same issues they've had the last 3 weeks, it's hard to imagine the Flames putting up much more than 20, 24 points if they even get to that. They'll need some breaks in the turnovers, not have penalties that kind of shoot yourself in the foot to take points off the board. And you got to take advantage in the red zone. Like Liberty's gotten in the red zone each of the last 2 weeks, and if had drives stall without even getting points on the board, missing field goals. That's another thing that I haven't talked about yet. But Liberty's 1 for 4 from field goals, and they've tried 2 different kickers, so there's issues there too, and the kicking game as well too. I mean, it's issues throughout the team, and so it's going to be, can the offense sustain drives long enough to stay on the field long enough to keep that defense rested? I think that's what we saw against Jacksonville State. Is Liberty's defense was really good, really successful the first half of the game up until the weather delay late second quarter. Then once you got to the fourth quarter, I think they were just exhausted, run down, and Cam Cook and the Jacksonville State offense just ran all over the Flames and gashed them, and the stats don't look pretty, but it's hard to say, hard to make a lot out of that, because the defense, against Maine was really good, and for the most part against Bowling Green they were really good. Again, I mentioned some of these turnovers. I mean, you give up, 23 points or 34 points to Jacksonville State. That's not good enough. But there a lot of times the defense being, set up where, I mean, this past week against Bowling Green, Liberty had the ball and was running the clock out late in the first half. It was 3-0 Bowling Green. Liberty's backed up inside its own 20-yard line, handed it to the running back to just run the clock out with less than a minute to play. And he picked up 7 or 8 yards and was fighting for extra yards and fumbled. And so then the defense gets thrown back up there. They're probably already thinking, we're getting ready to go into the locker room and rest up for the second half. And all of a sudden they're backed up in Bowling Green's in the red zone with less than a minute to play, and they punch it in for a touchdown. So it's a lot of things like that have happened. So Liberty, obviously, you cannot beat yourself against a team that's favored over you, and a team that's probably the best team Liberty will face, most talented team they'll face all season.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I was interested too in this, I don't know, maybe put in air quotes, rivalry, but this matchup, which is going to happen a lot more in the next decade. What do Liberty fans sort of think about this matchup with JMU? I know online circles, sometimes people get into it and things like that, but is it one that like the players are getting behind, most of the fan base? I was just curious the thoughts on this maybe budding rivalry, at least in the next decade.
Yeah, sure. I think it's something that, a lot of it has to do with where you're from. I mean, I'm from Richmond, so I'm familiar with JMU and my whole life. Whereas a lot of Liberty student base is from all 50 states, all over the country. So there's not a huge alumni presence in Virginia necessarily. And some of these students don't grow up knowing or even hating JMU. But I think it's something that has the potential. I mean, obviously, located an hour and a half or so away from each other. But we haven't played in 11 years. So I'm not sure. And then also it's hard with the players too, because so many of these guys transfer and, are on their third or fourth stop. So it's like, how much are they bought into a rivalry? So it'll be interesting to see. I'm sure it's something Coach Chowell, he played it up some in the off season leading into the year. And I'm sure he'll play it up some this week as well too. And yeah, there's definitely some dislike on Liberty's side for JMU, and in and around Lynchburg, you see JMU fans all over, and obviously in Richmond and Harrisonburg and other parts of the state as well too. So Liberty fans do see that, and I think it's a game that I had a few text conversations back in the summer, people talking about like how many losses would you trade for a JMU win? Which that's kind of fun to talk about and hash out, and I think it would right a lot of wrongs for Liberty so far this season if they come out with a win on Saturday as an underdog. I mean, very few, if any, people are going to be picking Liberty to win this game Saturday. So if Liberty was able to get the upset, maybe you start feeling good about yourself. Excuse me. Maybe you start feeling good about yourself, and your fan base can get behind you again and try to support you here for the crunch run of the season. So it'll be interesting. I'm interested to see. I mean, I know it's labeled as a sellout. I'm interested to see how many of those are going to be JMU fans. I'm interested to see how many of the season ticket holders show up and don't sell their tickets, especially coming off 2 straight losses. And then, a lot of Liberty's home atmosphere comes from that student base. The Flames typically fill up that side of the stadium behind the visitor bench, behind where JMU will be on the sidelines, that lower deck. About 10,000 or so strong, typically from the students, and they get there an hour and a half, 2 hours early, and are normally really loud. So I would expect that to be the same especially for this game against JMU Saturday. But it'll be interesting. The team has to perform well, especially early, to keep that team or to keep that fan base energized and behind you.
Awesome. JMU had road issues last year and winless on the road so far this year. So I'm excited to see how they kind of respond to that hostile atmosphere. For JMU fans who are curious to learn more about Liberty, where can they find your work?
Yeah, seeyared.com is the go-to place for everything. Was just working on an article this morning before jumping on here, kind of giving a quick overview of JMU for this week, and we'll obviously have coverage from Jamie Chadwell's press conference and the players' press conferences this week, and all aspects of the game this week. So seeyared.com. We're also on social media on YouTube and Twitter and Facebook and Instagram, so you can find us wherever you're at. Should be a lot of fun. Looking forward to interacting with some of the JMU fans. And, it's an interesting game. We'll have to see. I mean, I'm sure it's a game that JMU thinks that they'll come in and win, maybe by a couple of scores. And it's a game where Liberty is just, looking for any amount of momentum they can seize to try to turn around this slow start to the season.
For more than 20 years, SignPro has been proudly serving the Valley, helping local businesses stand out and get noticed. Whether it's vehicle wraps that turn heads on the road, dimensional signs that elevate your storefront, or long-lasting banners with yard signs, we bring quality and experience to every project. With a reputation built on craftsmanship and trust, we're here to make your message impossible to miss. Visit mysignpros.net and let's showcase your business with confidence. That's mysignpros.net.
Thanks to Jon for giving us his insights. Again, there's a lot of people who are kind of down on the Flames, man. There's not a ton of optimism, I don't think, in the fan base right now, even going into this game. So it's one where Liberty could certainly flip things, or they could be 1-4 with losses to JMU and ODU, and I think there would be some serious panic, even though the back end of their schedule sets up nicely. But there's concerns there for Liberty, for sure.
Because they're a team that comes into every season expecting college football playoff. Like, after making that New Year's Six game, I think they're always just like, well, we did it once. Why can't we do it again? Which does kind of feel like JMU fan. Like, if JMU had made that college,
sure,
that New Year's Six, like, I think the vibes around the team would be even more dire than they are right now. So I understand why Liberty fans are kind of down on their team.
Yeah, I get that too. And I also think, like, with the financial resources they have compared to most of their Conference USA peers, like, 1-4 would be hard to swallow. And I know most of those games are not against Conference USA peers, but, like, Liberty, given their resources, should probably beat Jacksonville State and Bowling Green.
And you mentioned the money thing. We talked with head coach Bob Chesney on Talkin' Dukes on ESPN Richmond, and that was something he did mention, because the question was asked of, like, how does this impact recruiting? And Chesney was just like, almost all of the recruits we've gotten in high school, we've had to go toe-to-toe with Liberty, and this is going to matter a lot because, like, Liberty does have a lot more financial resources than JMU does. So, like, it matters on the field. Like, if we're able to pull out a win, like, that gives us a slight leg up. But he's just like, the money they have is just so different than what every other G5 is working with.
Yeah, it really is. So it's going to be interesting to see this matchup and then sort of the long-term effects. Because I do think Liberty, even if they stumble this year, the resources are there. Like, they're going to get back on track and be a serious.
And Chadwell is a good coach. I think the issue was they weren't expecting Caden Salter to leave. He left, and now they were like, oh, crap, we have to go out and get, like, the 7th best quarterback out of the Sun Belt right now.
They've been hit hard by the portal. They also got dinged kind of hard, like, in the spring portal, which is sort of hard to go back from. JMU has done a good job of not losing, like, a grouping of players in the spring. Like, they'll lose, like, a guy, and it's like, oh, that stings. But it's different than, like, Liberty's D-line kind of got raided in the spring. They've got some guys who are playing elsewhere that are really good, and it's a little bit harder in the spring to bring in those guys. Like, you look at JMU, some of their best additions in recent years have been the winter guys. They've added some nice spring players, but, like, a lot of what they do in the winter is where you get your core, and you try to keep that through the spring.
Which I think shouldn't be an issue moving forward, right? They have ruled that there's only going to be one transfer portal window moving forward.
Yeah, so that's going to make life a little bit easier. So that'll
easier to track. Although our page views are going to take a drastic hit.
It's going to be interesting, though, to see how it works. Like, if you lose a coach, Like hypothetically, if Chesney takes a P4 job and then you only get that winter window, like you might have wanted the spring to see more about your team and change things up, or like be like, oh, we have a clear deficiency here. So it's going to be weird for G5s, I think, with the one window.
Yeah, the one window. But once you enter the portal, you can exit the portal whenever. It's just that one window to enter. But it could hurt
fair.
G5 teams pretty badly, because then when the coach leaves after the window is closed, and then all of a sudden you see like the coach leave, that the 30-day window then opens for that team, and then you could just lose a bunch of players, and then you're retooling it with players that were, for all intents and purposes, picked over once, twice, 3 times already, and now you're like really scraping the bottom just trying to put together a team. And granted, it may take out like, you know, the funny business that's going on behind the scenes where, you know, you try to entice a player to enter the portal, but I like it. But you're right, it will make for a little bit more of a difficulty for G5. Do you want to move to listener questions?
Let's do it, man.
All right, first one I teased at the start. Andy Lohman, listener question submission. He DM'd us this. Like, this was how important it was, and I felt bad for missing it last week. But Andy asked, if we continue with the 2-quarterback system, instead of choosing one starter and sticking with him, what does the optimal use look like?
I think it's going to be what they, and I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt here a lot, but based on what Chesney and Dean Kennedy said in some of their like interviews over the last 10 days, the game plan against Louisville, and I'm not sure I agree with it or others, but they felt like they needed to use Sluka in the quarterback run game because they needed an extra blocker being the running back against Louisville's really good front 7. So they kept calling it the QB +1 run game, right? Where you get the extra blocker.
+1.
And that's what it felt like a little bit yardage-wise, too. But they kept going with it. They kept sticking with it. I don't know if I would have done that. I think it was kind of not as successful as it could have been. They were also backed up, though, a couple times where they started drives inside like their own 10. So then they were using like that wishbone kind of thingy to get any yards. And they had a couple good plays with it. I think the issue with the Louisville game is they were dominated up front. But I think what they'll do, to answer the question, I think it's going to be more like Weber. Sluka's going to play, but I think Barnett's going to have like a 4-1 snap count. Or the starter.
If
4-1 snap.
If Sluka's playing, well, you need a 50-50 split with him rushing and passing, or a 60-40 or something to keep the defense honest, which was not the case in the Louisville game. I also find like the logic, I can't fathom this logic. You are being outmanned, out physical, just being destroyed in the trenches. Like, that defensive line was very, very good. They were batting balls down. They were getting to Barnett when he would pass on clear passing situations. They weren't letting the rushing game attack. And the solution was, we just need a running back to block for Sluka, and we'll start gaining yards. And then that didn't work. And then instead of like adjusting, they were like, this is eventually going to work. Eventually, this is going to work. Guys, eventually, we're going to break through here. And it's just like, the logic I didn't understand. The logic was, we can't run the football, therefore one extra running back as a blocker will help us run the football. Should have had like 3 tight end sets, bring in an extra lineman if you're so wedded to running the football, and try to do it that way with Jordan Fuller getting the ball handed off to him, rather than running a wishbone kind of gimmicky offense that's going to like put Sluka in harm's way with Jordan Fuller as his lead blocker. I would have loved to see like a quick passing game, which was tough because they were batting balls so effectively. Like, I think there were a lot of issues. To answer the question, I hope we never see that Louisville game plan again. I hope it was a one-off game plan, which the coaching staff has showed that on those FBS games, I'm in the FCS mindset.
I know, that happens to me all the time.
In the P4 games, they typically do kind of have a bespoke game plan that is for that game only. Hopefully that was the case for the Louisville game, and they go back to what Weber State is, where it's Alonzo getting the primary snaps and Sluka coming in and getting, 2 snaps a drive, 3 snaps a drive, and they're doing a 50-50 pass-run split with Sluka.
Do you know what JMU's pass blocking grade on PFF was against
It was like 24.
Against Louisville, it was 30.
Okay.
Against North Carolina last year, it was 81. It was 81. Like, they could not. So the run blocking was 52. I think that's kind of why they tried to do it. Like, they got cooked. If you go back and watch some of those passing snaps, like, and it wasn't one guy, it was everybody. Like, even McMurtry was struggling at times. McMurtry missed 4 snaps, and they don't have Cam McNair available, so it was Deacon Rawls who gave up a sack, like, real quick on a 3rd down. They had nothing pass blocking. I think it's getting confused by some fans because the defense played so well, where it's like, oh man, we had them. It's like, no, they couldn't hold up in pass protection once. It was horrendous. The pass blocking was so bad. Like, I don't think that game was as close as people were making it seem. Like, JMU had chances to win because the defense was so amazing. But offensively, like, JMU should feel fortunate to have scored 14 points because they sucked.
Yeah. The defense kept them in that game.
But the difference between Louisville's defense and, like, Liberty's defense is so drastic that I don't think you need a similar game plan. Like, I think it'll, and even if they ran that stupid game plan, I think it would have worked a lot because they're going to hold up in pass protection, because they're going to be able to get a good run block. Like, it's just, you can run almost any game plan against the next few opponents because they can't play defense.
So much of that game was also what ifs. Like, if Isaiah Alston hits that touchdown pass to start the game, how different is everything?
Yeah, because they did scheme up some stuff. They had, like, a couple plays where it's like, hey, we're outmanned, but we have these, and they missed a couple of them that were pretty important.
Yeah, which is always a bummer. All right, you want to go to listener questions from this week?
Yeah, let's go to our listener questions.
Well, let me sprinkle one in from last week. Dalton Wagner asked, have we made any noticeable offensive changes from coaching or scheme since last year? I don't think so. Like, other than adding in the Sluka run packages.
It looks pretty similar. I'd have to go take a much closer look at, like, formations they're using and that kind of stuff. But so far, maybe not. But it's also hard to tell because they played an FCS team where they probably weren't trying to do much. And then they played an P4 team where they were trying to do a bunch of stupid stuff. So, like, we'll probably learn more this week. That
Louisville game, this is probably the first game that we will actually learn something about the team. Like, week 1, I think there was a large portion of that game where they just were like, well, we're up so big, they can't move the ball against us. Let's just, like, stop trying. Not stop trying, but, like, we're going to go very vanilla here. And then against Louisville, it was like, well, this is the game plan. This is the only time we're ever going to run this game plan. So,
yeah. Okay. This week, from In Jeff Brom We Trust, have y'all accepted defeat from Louisville yet?
Funniest thing that happened was them not understanding. I don't know if In Jeff Brom We Trust was one of them, but like a very clearly sarcastic tweet that generated over 150,000 impressions because Louisville fans found it and thought you were serious, when it was the most slap yourself in the face sarcasm I've ever read in my life.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly what I said, but it was basically that, like, JMU had better vibes, and despite all the, like, counting stats, it's a win in their book, and they were all mad. I think most JMU people have accepted the defeat. The ones who maybe haven't, honestly, is, like, the coaching staff, who just keep saying that they should have won. So I get where that comes from. It seems like every time Chesney talks about the game, he's like, we had that one. Which, I mean, in his defense, they did have a good chance to win the game, and I understand why a coach would feel that way, but... I think most people are aware that, like, Louisville won that game.
Yeah, and that, like, Louisville was better in the trenches and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But on a down-to-down basis, JMU was more effective at moving the football.
The defense kept him in the game. If they play him again and the defense plays like that, it's going to be a close game. Like, they had chances to win. I don't know that, like, JMU's better. I don't think they are, because I think Louisville has more offensively.
Yes.
And has a similarly athletic and good defense, but...
It's funny because their EPA was so much better than ours, like whole 0.2 of a point, which I know for the non-nerd number lovers who always roll their eyes when I talk EPA, but like 0.2 of a point is a lot in expected points added on a per play basis. And that's what Louisville had because they were able to hit on explosive plays. They hit like 5 more explosive plays than JMU did in this game. And like, that's why Louisville won.
Yes.
Like,
which like is what you want. We talked about that last time, right? It's like that's the kind of stuff that you want offensively. You'd love to be explosive. Like if JMU hit that pass from Alston to Kyle, no JMU fans would be like, oh, our success rate though, it's just not translated.
Yeah, like
success
that's the thing.
rate.
Like success rate, like It is so hard to consistently move the ball without explosives because of penalties, negative plays. Like, if you're marching down the field, 1st and 5, 2nd and 3, third and 1, first down, 2nd and
It's
5.
like impossible, yeah.
You can't do that.
It's like a service academy, maybe.
Maybe. And even them, it's tough because there's going to be one random holding that then all of a sudden makes it 2nd and 17. And now you're like, well, we might as well just punt now.
And if you put Navy on, like, they hit some explosives.
And then Navy's
like,
running like this. They're running like a unique triple option that involves passing. And it's like, I'm glad we don't have to
wing
play
T. So sick. All right. So,
next
I
question.
think everyone accepted the loss by now, except for
how
maybe the
many
players.
carries will Petaway have against Liberty? This has been the other talk. Along with the quarterback conversation, it's the fact that Sluka had 21 carries. Some of those were sacks. Not all of them were designed runs. A couple scrambles in there. But at the end of the day, the box score says Sluka had 21 carries. More than the entire running back room combined. And George Petaway, the preseason all-conference player, is 15 carries in total.
Yeah, I don't fully agree with it. Again, I didn't call the quarterback +1 run game. That's just what they said.
You know what I would have done? I would have brought in Lakota Dippery, Logan Kyle, and Josh Pfeiffer, run 3 tight end sets, maybe even bring in an extra tackle for funsies if we're so interested in the +1 run game, and hand it to George Petaway.
There's just too many predictable run plays. It got
That's
a little
the
bit...
thing. Like, when Sluka was in, you knew it was a run, so why not just beef up the offensive line and be like, this is going to be a run?
If you're going to do it, you might as well really lean into it and just run like no wide receiver sets. So it was weird. It was ugly. I'm going to put him rated as like 12. I'll say Petaway goes and gets 12.
Does he break 100 yards?
Oh, I'll say he gets like 80
99
plus.
again. 99 like Weber State. If he didn't run out of gas right before the touchdown run he had against Weber, he would have gone over 100.
That's true. I just think they're going to split it up a lot.
I think so too. Hopefully Joby gets used. Jeez Louise. It was a complete disgrace that Joby wasn't used.
I would like to get Joby used. I feel like I had a dream about Joby, but...
Don't say that out loud.
I might have been conscious. It might have just been...
Just a daydream. You were
daydream
typing away.
About him getting 15 reps.
At the Baltimore Sun, you're writing an article, and then you just stop, and you look off longingly. Joby rushes.
I love Joby, man. Just give him some reps.
All right, James Turner asked, how many offensive points do we need to score Saturday in order to regain belief that our offense is actually good?
It probably depends a little on the game script. Like if they're like if Liberty can't move the ball at all and JMU scores 27 and they just grind it out, like I wouldn't feel bad about the offense. But like typically 30 is kind of my number. Where like
35.
Okay, I don't
5
think they've
touchdowns.
given up. They haven't given up 35 yet this year, so it would be the most scored against Liberty so far this year.
Yeah, UNC didn't give up 70 points again after JMU. This is a one-off type of team.
Okay. I'd like to check ULM's stats for how many times they allowed. 19.
All right. Dan Miller asked, RB1, is it Petaway, Knight, ... or Sluka? I think it's Petaway. Like, I think Petaway is the RB1, and I just think it was such a weird game plan against Louisville. Like, as time has gone on, I don't agree with the game plan. I think they left a lot of yards out there. I think it was ill-prepared. I think JMU could have done a better job of breaking down the snaps with Barnett and Sluka and not putting Barnett in horrible situations and putting Sluka in horrible situations. All of that, I think the Louisville game plan was a one-off bespoke game plan similar to UNC. Like, we didn't see that many special teams trick plays all season. We saw some, but like every special team snap felt like a trick play against UNC.
Yeah.
That wasn't really used for the remainder of the season. I think they do go out for P4s and go, all right, we're going to do something a little different. We're going to put something on tape that we'll never put on tape again, and we'll try to win that way. So I don't think we'll see Petaway get 3 carries again.
That'd be surprising. I will say the thing that has me maybe the most concerned is I thought they overthought the game plan against Louisville. I thought they were like this rotation, like they're trying to be too cute. On second thought, it almost seems like they underthought it. where they're like, oh, we just need an extra blocker.
That's kind of what I was getting at earlier.
That's a little that has me a little confused because at first I thought they were doing Galaxy Brain, and now it seems like they were maybe just doing like the most simple-minded, like just smash line and see if it blocks. Like,
we got one extra blocker. Hit, run.
Sluka in, run.
Fournette in, pass.
It almost seems like it was like overly simple, which has me a little concerned. Because at first I was like, oh, they're just trying to be like genius brains, and they'll
it
tone
was
it down.
So genius. You know the meme where it's like the not parabola, I think it is, or like one side it's like a caveman thinking, in the middle it's like, well, actually the EPA and the success rate, and then at the end it's like, no, he was right. And like it feels like that's what we've gone over now with the JMU stuff.
Yeah, a little.
Where at the start we're like, are they an idiot? And then in the middle they're like, well, actually they were trying to execute a +1 run game that would allow them to have an extra blocker and set them up for more positive gains. And then at the end it's like, they are dumb.
That's well said.
Thank you. All right. That's it for listener questions.
No, there's a couple in here.
Oh, I guess I haven't refreshed in a while.
This is from Rob Moorhead. Well, I haven't read it yet, but do you guys think Bob is actually a candidate for the Virginia Tech job? I know he has a great resume, but do you think he has proved himself enough at JMU to make the jump to the ACC?
Or down if you're a Virginia Tech hater. Let me say a couple of things. This would not be a jump down, and I know he's saying that like tongue in cheek, but I do think there are some JMU fans out there that think JMU is now in a tier above Virginia Tech.
Delvin. Delvin.
That's not the case. Virginia Tech's going to have an operating budget of over $200 million if this passes in the coming weeks. So they have an operating budget that makes JMU look like Holy Cross. Like, it's insane. So it's not going to be a jump down. He's going to get a massive pay raise for this. With that being said, he needs to win like 10 games, win a Sun Belt championship, and then he could maybe make that jump.
Yeah, he hasn't done enough now. He can't be like 1-1 and like be like, I did it. But he's trending in a positive way, I would say.
So I do think he's a candidate. Like, I think Virginia Tech is going to take a long, hard look at Bob Chesney, especially if he wins 10 games and wins a Sun Belt.
He's young. He's a proven winner. He recruits very well. He understands how to use the portal, but he also understands development.
He has Virginia ties now, which I think like is big for Virginia Tech. Like G.J. Kinney, I think, is an interesting name being floated around because he built Texas State from a dumpster fire into a respectable West program, which no one else had ever been able to do at Texas State. He doesn't have any East Coast connections. He has Southern connections, but he doesn't have East Coast connections. And I think that is something Virginia Tech will look at. Like, they want a coach that at least has East Coast connections.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised Virginia Tech hasn't tried to steal more player and coaches from JMU previously. So I like it. It would make a lot of sense if they tried to poach Chesney and also poach players.
Where was that one question that you sassed?
I sassed.
You sassed someone on social media. You
quote tweeted something. I just found somebody's tweet. But there was another question from Louisville fan asking what it's like seeing your fan base be completely delusional. I know it annoys me when Louisville fans yap when they are clearly wrong.
Your thoughts?
I do think the people that say like JMU is a better team has me a little confused. Like when people say that. But it doesn't irk me because that game really also the game looks a lot different if they don't run a quarterback draw on the last play of the game where like Sluka got it and acted like he was going to pass from the 2 and they sent a blitz because of course he's not going to pass from the 2. He knew he wasn't going to pass from the 2. Chesney knew it. Everybody in the stands knew it. Everybody watching on TV knew it. They should have just ran QB power. Get in the end zone.
And then they didn't run another play where they could have like lined up quickly and ran another play, right?
Yeah, just ridiculous. But it should have been 28-21. And it would look a lot different, and then fans have more of a case that, like, hey, one play changes it more so than, like, we need 2 plays. But anyway, not that it matters.
So I did want to bring up the tweet. If JMU loses this weekend, we need to seriously reconsider Chesney. Losing to Liberty is unacceptable in my book. You quote tweeted it, and you said, tired, reacting to the games as they happen. Wired, putting Chesney on the hot seat over hypotheticals.
They're probably going to win the game. Like, what do we mean we have to reconsider Chesney? I think we need to let him coach a G5 game this year before we talk about anything. But there's a good chance that JMU goes on a really nice run here because the schedule looks pretty easy. Like, if they lose... Look, man, if they go like 7-5, then you can talk about, like, okay, he needs to prove something more in year 3. But they're not firing him after 2 seasons. This isn't Ohio State. And they haven't done anything yet. Like, negative. They had one game against a good P4 team and they had a chance to win. Like, what are we doing?
I'm trying to find the tweet, but I can't find it. I remember we asked, like, I think it was the hot take pod, the take purge pod, where it was another, like, extreme hypothetical.
Yeah.
Where it was like, if Virginia Tech fires Pry and this happens and this happens, do they take Chesney? And I remember we just laughed about it for so long that now that's like kind of turning out to be true.
My hot take, my only good one on that purge, I think, was that I thought Chesney was taking the VT or UVA job. I also said that Sluka would be a Heisman finalist.
Now, I don't remember that. That was a take purge. All professional credibility was suspended. I do not remember you saying that.
I still think he could be if they just go with
Stop
him.
it.
Just say, hey,
Stop it. No.
he's the guy.
Bennett, you will be held responsible for these.
He ran the ball for 84 yards against Louisville.
Okay, you're responsible for this. You're responsible
Do you think?
for it.
You think it's? We didn't really talk about this though. Do you think it's Barnett for sure? QB1.
I don't think it is Barnett for sure QB1. Like, he looked bad at times in that game. He looked a little rough and rusty against Weber State. Like, maybe a bye week where he was actually cleared for contact now and he can, like, practice through a bye week and everything. Maybe that helps and can kind of, like, work off some of that rust. But, like, he still has issues with pressure. Yeah. He still has happy feet. He still can't feel pressure. And sometimes he's a little off target on passes that he should be hitting. I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that Barnett is QB1.
I wish his feet would get a little happier when a blitz is coming, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean,
sometimes
he's got dead feet.
He got those statue feet, which I feel like sometimes he almost is like too trustworthy a teammate, where he's like, they're gonna pick this up.
What are your
and they
flaws?
Just never do. Like,
what are your flaws? I'm too trusting. I work too hard, and I love too much.
I think so, man. It's like, oh, I'll trust. Like, they'll pick up this blitz. It's like, no, man, get out of there.
Yes, I don't think it's a foregone conclusion. All right, real quick, around JMU Sports World, we're a golf podcast, so what happened with golf, Bennett?
Women's golf won their first tournament. It was technically a tie, which I find a little bit frustrating. Let me double check that there wasn't a playoff before I go in. But the way they worded it on social media was that they won but tied for first, and I was a little bit confused by that, to say the least. So let me just make sure that there was not a playoff here. Blah, 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 blah. Won a first title or share of a title. I think it was a tie.
Damn.
They tied with host school Elon. I wonder if Elon didn't want that smoke.
Well, I wonder if this was pre or post Elon merger with Queen's University of Charlotte.
Happened yesterday at 3:37. Was probably post, right? Just post.
That was probably post. Yeah, just after.
Wow. So they ended up, so it says first out of, 13 teams. It's really first out of 14 because they merged. I know they're not merging athletic departments, but
allegedly. That hasn't been, like, officially confirmed.
Oh, really?
I think Logan Campbell, JMU alum, she works for a TV station in Greensboro. She tweeted out, like, their statement, and they're like, we'll keep you updated with what we figure out. And it's like, what? You'll keep us updated?
What do you mean? Yeah, so women's golf is absolutely cruising, which is exciting. Men's soccer had a huge result the other day where they didn't lose. So
0-4-1, baby.
Yeah. Ooh, didn't score, but a tie against
Liberty.
Liberty.
Hang the banner, hang the banner.
They have scored 1 goal so far this year, so looking for more of those.
Women's soccer 4-2-3.
Okay, we like what they're doing.
Coming off of a tough tie in Sunbelt opening play against the Chanticleers 101.
Yeah.
Field hockey 4-3. They are coming off of a very hard-fought loss against number 3 ranked Virginia. Prior to that, though, wins over Towson, American, and Richmond. It was a 2-1 win in overtime against Richmond.
4-1 over American. Eat it, Alger, right?
Suck on that, Alge boy.
10 days after it happened. Eat it.
It could be longer depending on when people listen to this podcast.
He's probably happy about it, actually, though. He's not a big athletics guy.
Except he helped to lead JMU during the most pivotal portion of their athletics
Where was
tenure.
the lawsuit?
You don't care about JMU. Where's the lawsuit? We're not being used as a political pawn in Jason Miyares' re-election campaign. Sorry, let me stop.
I'm glad Signetti left, too. He hasn't had any success in Indiana.
Yeah, none whatsoever. All right. Volleyball's 4-5, but they did pick up a win in their last game, a 5-set win over Ball State up in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Needed that, get back on track a little bit here.
They went 2-1 in the Marquette Invitational. Wins over Milwaukee and Ball State. Straight set loss, though, against Marquette. Coming up next, it's a Friday showdown with UT Rio Grande Valley in the Erie Insurance Invitational.
Wow. Nice.
Yeah, so clear out your calendars for that one, folks.
Clear it out, boys.
All right, anything else?
No.
All right, for Bennett Conlon, I'm Jack Fitzpatrick. Thank you so much for tuning into the JMU Sports News podcast. Follow us on social media, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Blue Sky, at JMU Sports News. Our new contributor, Evan, has been pumping out some amazing content over there on Instagram, so go over there, check it out, JMU Sports News. Will pop on up, and you can follow there. And thank you to one of our sponsors, Sign Pro. They have been awesome. They got us set up with a beautiful to-the-house table skirt. If you came to that live show a couple of months ago with me and Delvin with To The House live show that Bennett blew us off for some reason.
That's right.
We had a bunch of awesome stickers, too, supplied by Sign Pro. So thank you to them for their support. We always, always appreciate it. And you can follow us and find us at our home on the web, jmusportsnews.com. And we would love it if you bought us a coffee. buymeacoffee.com/JMUSportsNews. Bennett's finally drinking coffee.
Mm-hmm.
You were an anti-coffee person for a while.
I was. It's slowly becoming a part of my life.
Because you've realized that tea is bad at coffee shops because they just put a tea bag in hot water.
That's played a big role in it, yes.
Here's a petition. Let's start getting better tea at coffee shops.
Let's do it. Let's start
I need
it.
Like loose leaf tea or whatever, pour over, pressed. I don't need tea bags. I can do that at home.
Or if it's a tea bag, I want to pay about $1, not like $5.
That's also
for water.
Very good.
Because I should just bring my own tea bag and then get a cup of hot water. But then why am I going there, right? I could just bring my own tea then at that point.
It's a great point. You're asking the tough questions. All right. For Bennett Conlon, I'm Jack Fitzpatrick. See ya.